What's up guys, and welcome to the Hungover Cooking Show. Today we're going to be turning all of these ingredients into one of these. Bread has been around since the beginning of human civilization and is present in almost every single culture on the planet. Since it's so common around the world, it makes sense that there are so many different types of bread. Today we're going to be making a standard loaf of bread. Think the kind of bread that you might find on the countryside of France, a hearty, crunchy crust on the outside, yet a fluffy and soft interior, perfect for spreading butter upon. To do this, we're going to need a few basic ingredients that you can find in your local grocery store. Your flour will determine everything from the texture to the flavor of your bread, so make sure you pick a good one that suits what kind of bread you're trying to make. I personally like King Arthur's standard bread flour, but that's just me. Just make sure it's a bread flour, or else you won't be making bread. You'll need yeast as well if you want your bread to rise. You'll also need salt and water. So you've got all the ingredients. Congratulations, I hope you feel good about yourself. But how are we going to bake the bread? Let's talk about ovens. The standard convection oven can get the job done if you want a subpar loaf. But that's not what we're about on this channel. If you want a really good loaf of bread, but you don't have a professional oven at home, we're gonna have to look elsewhere. To get the type of heat and distribution of heat, you're going to want one of these bad boys. Wait, no. There. One of these bad boys. Hold on, wait. Not the lemon, that was there to hold the camera up. You're gonna want a Dutch oven. Okay, well this one isn't exactly a Dutch oven, those are made of cast iron. This one's made of porcelain, which will get the job done just as well. See the lid is going to play a very vital role. The role it's going to play is going to keep the heat in as well as trapping the steam to steam the bread as well. Wait, so you're saying we need to steam the bread in order to make a crunchy crust? How in the world does that make any sense? Steam is water vapor, and that would only make the bread soggy, right? Well, actually, it's quite important. In the first few minutes of baking, loaves of bread will rise rapidly as the gases trapped inside expand and the yeast has a final burst of activity. This is called oven spring. Steaming within this time helps keep the crust soft. This allows the bread to continue expanding freely. Okay, so we have all our ingredients and we have our baking vessel. So let's get started. In a large glass, add 15 grams of dry yeast or 40 grams of fresh yeast to 600 milliliters of warm water, not boiling. We don't want the yeast to boil to death, now do we? In a large bowl, add 1 kilogram of bread flour and 18 grams of salt. Thoroughly mix the two until well incorporated. Slowly add the water and yeast mixture while mixing. Once everything is properly incorporated, we can start kneading. Hey, we're making bread here. No one said it would be easy. If you want to be a little bitch about it, well then, I guess you could use a stand mixer with a dough hook, but that would be too easy. I mean, how else are you going to burn off all these carbs? Continue kneading for about 10 minutes. Place the dough in a container and cover it, and let it proof for 1 to 2 hours. Okay, so now you've got an hour to relax. So what should you do in the meantime? How about we make a nice drink? I don't know when you're watching this video, but I know it's the freaking weekend for me, so let's make a Tom Collins. I know, not even remotely related to bread or baking, or anything like that. But seriously, we should enjoy some part of this stupid video. I mean, come on, who even likes it? Now Now, one of the keys to making a good cocktail is actually preparing your glass beforehand. So in a Tom Collins glass, fill it up with a couple pieces of ice. Set that aside, and now this is my favorite part. Opening the bottle of Hendrick's gin. Yes, this is one of my favorite gins. In fact, this might be the best gin. I don't know. Smells like juniper. So now that we have our glass prepared, let's go ahead and make our drink. You're going to take 1 shot of gin. Or in my case, I like to put 2 because I'm a drunk. Then you're going to want to take the juice of half of a lemon and squeeze it into your shaker as well. That's a pleasing sound, isn't it? Next up, you want to put half a jigger of simple syrup. This simple syrup I made myself. You can make it yourself as well by putting 1 part water and 1 part sugar into a pan and dissolving all the sugar. The next step would obviously be fill your shaker with some ice cubes and shake away. Now you want to strain it into your glass and top it off with some seltzer. Okay, now that we've boosted ourselves up, let's check on the dough. Press the dough into a bread-like shape and place the dough back into the same container for another 30 minutes to an hour while covered. This will act as a second proofing process. Meanwhile, you can preheat your oven with the Dutch oven in it to 250 Celsius or 480 Fahrenheit. And while you're at it, could you get me another Tom Collins? Finally, we're done, right? Nope. Take your dough ball out of the container and sprinkle it with some flour. You may want to place it on a piece of parchment paper as it will be easier to lower into the hot Dutch oven. Using a razor blade or a paring knife, score the surface in any pattern that you want. This is not only stylish, but incredibly important. Don't skip this step, whatever you do. Place the dough in the Dutch oven and cover. Bake for 30 minutes on 250 Celsius or 480 Fahrenheit, and then at 230 Celsius or 450 Fahrenheit for another 30 minutes. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the moment of truth. Can I bake a loaf of bread, or am I a fraud? Hey, so it doesn't look too bad. All that hard work finally paid off. But of course, it's just a loaf of bread. And it isn't a whole entire meal. But of course, I could see a world where I had an entire loaf of freshly baked bread as my dinner. It might be this world right now. But for a real entire cooked meal, you're gonna have to wait for the next video. But until then, go ahead and leave this video a thumbs up and perhaps share it with one of your friends. Tell us if there's any meals you want us to make in the future. And when I say us, I'm referring to the other person that posts videos on this channel, Yvonne. And don't forget to tweet at us, or perhaps post on our Facebook page, Hungover Podcast, your loaves of bread. But until then, I have an entire loaf of bread to eat right now, so I'll see you guys next video.